There is one habit that instantly changes how people see you. Not over time, not after months. Instantly. And most men completely ignore it because it looks too simple. They think respect comes from confidence, from speaking well, from proving their value in conversations. But in reality, the more you try to prove yourself, the more you lose it. Because respect is not built on how much you say. It is built on how you behave under pressure. And the habit that creates instant respect is this. You don't react immediately. Most people react fast, too fast. Someone challenges them and they respond instantly. Someone questions them and they start explaining. Someone throws a sarcastic comment and they either defend themselves or try to laugh it off. And in that exact moment, they lose something they don't even realize they had. Control. Because reacting instantly shows something very important to everyone around you. It shows that your emotional state is not yours. It belongs to the situation. It belongs to the person who triggered you. And once people see that they can trigger you, they understand something dangerous. They can influence you. And influence is the foundation of control. But the moment you break this pattern, everything changes. When someone challenges you and you don't respond immediately, the entire dynamic shifts. Instead of you reacting, they start thinking. Instead of you explaining, they start analyzing what they just said. That pause creates tension, and most people are not comfortable with tension. They are used to fast emotional feedback. They are used to seeing reactions. But when the reaction doesn't come, they feel it. They feel the weight of their own words. They feel uncertainty. And uncertainty makes people careful. Careful people are respectful people. This is why this habit works so fast. It doesn't require you to be louder. It doesn't require you to dominate the conversation. It doesn't require you to prove anything. It only requires one thing: control. The ability to hold your reaction for a few seconds. The ability to stay calm while others expect movement. And in a world where most people react without thinking, the man who pauses immediately stands out. Not because he is trying to be impressive, but because he is not controlled by the moment. And that is the first signal people recognize as real strength. The moment you stop reacting immediately, you remove the easiest way people gain control over you. Most interactions between people are not based on logic. They are based on reactions. Someone says something slightly disrespectful, not because they want conflict, but because they want to see what happens next. Someone challenges your opinion, not because they care deeply, but because they are testing your stability. Someone uses sarcasm, not as humor, but as pressure. These are small, almost invisible tests, and they happen constantly. The purpose is simple: to see how easily you can be moved. If you react instantly, you answer that question without realizing it. You show irritation, defensiveness, or the need to explain yourself. And once that signal appears, something changes in the interaction. The other person understands that pressure works. And when pressure works, it gets used again. But when you pause, even for a few seconds, you interrupt that entire process. The expected reaction does not appear. The rhythm breaks. The person who tried to provoke you suddenly has no feedback. And without feedback, their behavior loses direction. This is where psychological pressure reverses. Instead of you feeling pressure to respond, they begin to feel pressure for what they said. They start wondering if they crossed a line. They start questioning their own tone. They start adjusting themselves. And that shift is extremely powerful. Because control in conversations always follows the person who is least reactive. The one who reacts the least forces the other person to do more work. They have to explain more. They have to justify more. They have to think more carefully. And over time, this creates a pattern. People begin to understand that you are not easy to influence. They understand that emotional pressure does not move you. And because of that, they stop using it. This is why the habit is so effective. It doesn't require strength in the traditional sense. It requires discipline. The discipline to not speak immediately. The discipline to not defend yourself impulsively. The discipline to stay present while tension exists. And that discipline communicates something much stronger than words ever could. It shows that your behavior is not controlled by the environment. It shows that you are choosing how to respond, not reacting to what happens. And once people recognize that, they begin treating you differently. Not because you demanded respect, but because your behavior made disrespect ineffective. Another powerful effect of this habit is that it makes you unpredictable in the best possible way. Most people are easy to read. Their emotions appear instantly. Their reactions follow a pattern. If they feel challenged, they defend. If they feel disrespected, they react. If they feel pressure, they adjust. And once someone understands that pattern, they can control the interaction without even trying. But the moment you stop reacting immediately, you break that pattern completely. People can no longer predict how you will respond. And unpredictability creates hesitation. Imagine someone trying to provoke you. They expect a quick reaction. They expect emotion. They expect movement. But instead, you pause. You stay calm. You look at them without changing your expression. And in that moment, something shifts. The person who tried to provoke you suddenly becomes aware of themselves. They start wondering what you are thinking. They start questioning if they went too far. They begin to feel the pressure they tried to create. This is the reversal of control. Because control is not about who speaks more or who is louder. It is about who controls the emotional direction of the interaction. And the person who is least reactive always has that control. Another important thing happens when you build this habit. Your words begin to carry more weight. When someone speaks constantly, their words lose value. When someone reacts quickly, their responses feel automatic. But when you speak after a pause, people listen differently. Because they understand that you are not speaking out of emotion. You are speaking because you chose to. That difference is subtle, but it is powerful. It makes people take you more seriously without you trying to be taken seriously. Over time, this creates a reputation. People begin to describe you differently. They say you are calm. They say you don't overreact. They say you think before you speak. What they are really saying is that you are in control. And control is rare. In a world where most people react instantly, the man who pauses stands out immediately. Not because he is louder or more dominant, but because he is harder to influence. And the harder you are to influence, the more people respect you. The habit of not reacting immediately does more than just change conversations. It changes how people position themselves around you. Over time, people begin to recognize that your reactions are not easily triggered. They understand that pressure does not move you, sarcasm does not shake you, and tension does not force you to respond. And once people realize that, something very important happens. They stop trying, because every social behavior follows results. If something works, people repeat it. If something stops working, people abandon it. This is exactly what happens when you develop control over your reactions. The small tests disappear. The unnecessary challenges become rare. The interruptions happen less often. Not because people suddenly became more polite, but because they understand that their usual tactics have no effect. And this is where real respect begins. Not from what you say, but from what people learn about you through experience. They learn that you are not reactive. They learn that you are not easy to influence. They learn that your behavior does not depend on their actions. And that creates a completely different dynamic. Instead of you adjusting to the environment, The environment begins to adjust to you. People become more careful with their words. They think before they challenge you. They approach you differently. And all of this happens without you demanding anything. This is the power of emotional discipline. It doesn't require force. It doesn't require dominance. It simply requires control. Control over your timing. Control over your reactions. Control over your presence. And this is why this habit creates instant respect. Because most people do the opposite. Most people react quickly, speak impulsively, and allow the situation to dictate their behavior. So when someone does the opposite, it becomes immediately noticeable. It creates contrast, and contrast creates attention. Attention creates awareness, and awareness turns into respect. In the end, people don't respect the man who talks the most, reacts the fastest, or tries the hardest to prove himself. They respect the man who controls himself when it matters. The man who can sit in silence without needing to fill it. The man who can hear something challenging without rushing to respond. The man who chooses his reaction instead of being controlled by it. Because the moment people realize they cannot control your reactions, they also realize something else. They cannot control you. And that is the moment respect becomes automatic.